I think I might die here today. So that sucks. I'm gonna die, that's what I'm gonna do. Absolutely beautiful. What better way to go camping with my family than to go to the campsite and then immediately leave and ignore them to go take photos. Hey, yous guys. Why do I start every video like a moron? Anyway, this is a video about a 3-night camping trip I took with my dad to a reservoir about 2 hours west of Denver. I originally planned on splitting this into 2 videos, but I decided to just make one long one. So please stay to the end because the best conditions and some of my favorite photos were actually on the last day. Anyway, I wanted to preface this a little and explain some conclusions I came away with, which is how underrated 35mm is for landscape photography. We often feel the need to shoot as wide as possible at 16 or even 14mm, or I, pick out scenes at really long focal lengths, and we sort of ignore the middle beaten stepchild of focal lengths, between 30 and 40mm. At least landscape shooters. 35mm is a favorite in the street shooting scene, so why not try it elsewhere? In fact, my favorite photo on this trip was about 38-ish millimeters, which is close enough and could easily be cropped from 35mm without really losing any detail. Without any further ape poo, let's go on this adventure. Greetings, as of yet again of late today. I've come to another place. This place is called Wolford Mountain Reservoir, and it's a mountain reservoir of sorts. I actually came here with my pep. That's where they're staying. They camp like suburban folks, which they are, and that's fine. They're gonna be here for a few days, so I don't see why not have some amenities. I came with them for a couple days to shoot the Milky Way. Pretty nice looking place, you know. It's a little underwhelming for photography. I mean, that's not why it's here. There is actually another lake about 25-30 minutes that way that has some glorious, I don't know if they're 14ers, but they are above the tree line and they're beautiful and they still have snow on them. You can kind of see them just over the horizon, way over there, but we're gonna be getting closer to them soon enough. So I might be driving back and forth a few times, sunrise, sunset, stuff like that. This lake, where we're situated on this lake, is east facing, so if we get some nice morning light, this will be an okay place to shoot. It's not the most beautiful place in the world, but it does have some nice low peaks, and with the right kind of morning light, it could be pretty beautiful. This place is much more for boating and fishing and stuff like that, and that's also my dad's boat, so we're gonna be going out and doing some fishing, and I'll probably bring out the super telephoto and see if I can snap some cool shots of people doing things on the lake, because there's all sorts of jet skis and stuff that happen out here. But right now, I'm just sort of chilling. They have AC running in there, so I brought Malcolm, of course. He's just hanging out in the nice, comfortable, air-conditioned house. Basically, it's a house on wheels. Let's not kid ourselves here. That's basically what it is. I'm not really focusing too much on photos right now, because obviously it's very cloudless. It should make for a beautiful Milky Way night though. I'm probably gonna wait until after sunset to drive down there and see what we can do with that lake, because that one is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous over there. It is near sunset now. Some nice golden hour light is hitting these small, kind of pathetic mountains. There are mosquitoes. I know this isn't channel tradition or anything, and I'll understand if you unsubscribe now, but I came prepared this time. These are supposed to work pretty well. We'll see if it works. I don't think I've been bitten since I turned it on, so pretty sure it's running properly. I have no fucking idea. I'm not a marine psychologist. I don't really understand how these things work. Not too excited about photographic opportunities at this lake, especially tonight. There's no clouds to the west. To the east is dog shit. I do have the 150 to 500, so maybe we can get some of these jet skiers causing a ruckus on this old lake here. Not super excited, but who knows, maybe when the light just hits these peaks over here, maybe it'll look better. It's a nice place to be. I just don't think it's a very nice place to shoot, you know?
I was initially a little bit disappointed after this very first day, but I also wasn't expecting too much. So once I edited some of these, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised, especially this one. I really love how it seems to be cut right in half, and it almost looks like two separate images stacked on top of each other with these really weird, veiny dirt structures leading up to this line, and the hills sit right on top of it.
Well, I'll tell you this much. This thing doesn't seem to work very good at all. I've had it on me this whole time, and I've been bitten at least 900 fucking trillion times. I don't think I have any blood left. I think I might die here today. So that sucks. Didn't really get any great images, but I wasn't really expecting it. I had kind of no expectations, which is probably the best way to go into something like this. I sort of shot the, get the fuck away from me, you little bastards. I wouldn't even call them mountains, I would call them dirt mounds. As the golden hour light was sort of falling down them. That looked kind of nice, but nothing spectacular. It's really the only good images I've got so far. And then there's, you probably can't even see it on the super wide angle, but there's a little gazebo up on the hill up there. And so far I've got a couple pretty cool shots of the nice colors, and I'm sort of waiting for this one cloud to pass over it. And then I'm gonna take another shot. A couple of okay images so far. I'm just really hoping that Milky Way pans out. I gotta go do that in like 2 hours, so I better try to get at least an hour or two of sleep before I go down there. So I'm gonna take this shot and go do that. Okay, so what better way to go camping with my family than to go to the campsite and then immediately leave and ignore them to go take photos? In other words, we went to a place in order to go to another place that we passed 30 minutes down the road. So I came back because this lake is absolutely beautiful, and the lake that we're at is just kind of boring. So I figured I'd come back here to shoot some Milky Way here. The problem I'm having right now is that I can't see a goddamn thing. So I'm gonna use you, specifically the A7 IV, and I'm gonna crank the ISO, and I'll be able to get some video of this place too, because this is the overlook. I passed some really great spots. I don't remember this spot, but I don't know, let's go see how it looks. Oh, Jesus. Okay. This looks pretty spectacular, even though you can't really see a goddamn thing out there. But I can see the Milky Way already. Maybe that's coming through in the video. And very soon it will be passing over the biggest mountains, which will be the ones over here. And I do believe that should be a pretty decent shot. This time of year, it's very possible to get the Milky Way to be very vertical in the sky. That's not until about 3 a.m. I might try to stick it out here and wait for that, because I am getting a little bit tired of the droopy Milky Way photos that I've been getting lately. Because early in the season, by the time the Milky Way gets vertical, it's like dawn. So this time of year, you have the most amount of time with the Milky Way in the sky, because basically as soon as it gets dark, it's only about 10 o'clock right now, and already I can see the Milky Way.
So the Milky Way was quite a bit of a failure. I was very quickly reminded why I tend to blend blue hour. It's not just for cleaner foregrounds, it's for the ability to actually find a foreground. It's very hard to find foregrounds when it's pitch black out. So the foreground in this is pretty boring. It's nothing special. There's no depth to it or anything, but this is something that I've really been wanting to try, is using a 35mm lens for Milky Way. We usually see super wide angle shots and you include as much of the Milky Way as you possibly can, but what I really wanted to do was get a little bit more detail out of it. it introduces some challenges because the longer focal length you have, the shorter your shutter speed has to be to eliminate star trailing. So I had to crank the ISO really high, all the way up to 12,800, and I could only shoot for about 10 seconds before getting star trails. I could have taken a second longer shutter speed shot for the clean foreground, but again, I wasn't really too tied to this foreground. It was just kind of a throwaway shot. But what I really wanted to see was just this insane detail you can get out of a slightly longer focal length lens. I actually slept about 7 hours last night, which is difficult for me to do, especially while camping, so it was a pleasant surprise. And I didn't even really have to wait long for sunrise. There's ducks, or whatever the fuck those are, some sort of bird-like creature in the water. And they look nice, but they're all a bit too far away, and I'm not gonna go chasing after them right now. Just sort of enjoying the stillness of the lake this morning and the beautiful light coming up. Really no compositions that way, but it's just nice to look at. I'm hoping for some flying birds once the warm air starts hitting the water. We'll see. I don't really know anything about birds and their hunting habits, but I imagine that's when they like to hunt. I don't know, maybe fish come up when it warms up. I don't know. What am I, a meteor psychologist? It's just kind of one of those places that you don't really photograph, but it looks nice with the eyes, you know? Who's yelling over there? That is bright as shit. I saw one bird swoop over there. It's just too far away though. It just would have been a collection of pixels, but that's a good sign. Hopefully they'll do it over here where I can actually get a good shot. I got the thermocell down here and it does seem to work. As long as you don't move it, like you gotta put it down and wait, and then it seems to clear an area. Where are you at, Mr. Birds? Okay, it is now day 2 of the camping 2023. It could not be any different than yesterday. Yesterday there was barely any clouds, it was hotter than shit, and I mean that's kind of how today started too, but now it's very different. It's cooled off substantially. And a storm passed through. It rained a whole bunch, no hail or anything, not really any lightning either, unfortunately. We went out on the boat earlier, took Malcolm, of course. First time on the boat, he ended up just chilling on the floor as if he was at home. So, okay, whatever, Malcolm. You don't want to have fun, fine. I actually ended up just taking his life vest off because he wasn't really interested. But tonight is gonna be a similar plan to yesterday. I'm going to head down to Green Mountain Lake again, Green Mountain Reservoir again, but this time for sunset because we actually have some clouds now, so I'm hoping sun is going to go down over there, so it's in about 3 hours now, so I'm hoping that some of that light will hit those peaks over there and I'll be able to get some nice sunset photos and walk away with something from this trip. Either way, it's been fun. I've been chilling with my dad and my dog and their dogs, and it really can't get much better than that anyway. But still, I'd like to take some cool photos and make a fun video, but so far it's been pretty boring, so I apologize. So that's the plan right now, is to wait another little while and then make that 30-minute drive yet again.
here we are. I'd say this is a much better spot to be. Last night I went to the overlook that's on the map, and of course I couldn't really see what was going on, so I didn't realize just how worse that spot is, but this is absolutely perfect. We got this giant peak right here. It's surrounded by peaks and then just a vast body of water down beneath, and maybe we'll even climb up here and see if there's any good foregrounds we could potentially use, but this is absolutely perfect. So I don't want to waste this beautiful light we have, so I'm gonna start shooting right now. All right, finally got set up. Switched to the Osmo because we got both cameras working overtime. I don't pay them. This is clearly a much better spot. There's still tons of green on the other side of the lake over there. Right now I've got a polarizer on the 24-70 at about 36 millimeters. And then the 150-500 I'm on, had to grab a shot real quick. But the 150-500 is now on the A7 III. Haven't used it on this camera before, so we'll see how she does. Should be fine. It is a sharp lens, but it's not like insanely sharp to where 24 megapixels wouldn't still look good. But this is absolutely beautiful. My car is right here, which can't get any more convenient than that. I don't even think I'm gonna have to climb. This is exactly what I was looking for, and the polarizer is darkening down the sky quite nicely, and we have very nice cloud shapes. To the west, it does look like we have clear skies, so with some luck, this will all explode in color here in about 1 hour, which is when sunset is. So I'm not gonna move these cameras. They're gonna sit right here. We'll hopefully get an absolute banger or two tonight. Absolutely beautiful. And this is what I saw when I was on my way up, and I got really excited to come back here. Lots of cool shapes and textures in the water. We're not really capturing that because we have the polarizer on, but still quite nice. So right now we've got patchy lighting hitting that center mountain right there. So as we go, I'm just gonna keep taking frames. Grabbed a few experimental ones centering the mountain and then also allowing some of this lower side to come in. We'll just have to see which looks better in the edit, but what better time to use a polarizer and a super long exposure. I've actually got the 10 stop on there too, so it's smoothing out that water quite nicely. And if we get lucky, this will get even more still and we'll get a nice clean reflection for sunset. I'm gonna cross my fingers, but who knows? There aren't really any boats on this lake, which is awesome. So as long as the wind dies down, which it seems to have done now, we should be in for quite a surprise. So now we play the waiting game.
This is the image I was talking about at the beginning when I said my favorite image was taken around 38 millimeters, which is honestly usually pretty rare. Usually the widest images are some of my favorites, but for whatever reason this time I started to take note of the focal lengths I was using when I popped the 24-70 on, and a lot of the time it was around 35 millimeter. I think it just ended up being the perfect focal length for this photo. That and the Milky Way image, I'm definitely going to be using 35 millimeter moving forward a lot more, and I'll probably bust out that prime as much as possible.
I wonder how many people have died from mosquito bites, because I mean, it's gotta be more than one, right? I've been bitten more times than I have dollars in my bank account. I might die. And you know, I think the Thermacell is kind of working, but no solution ever really solves the problem. The spray kind of works, I still get bit. These little wristbands, citronella, they don't seem to work at all, at least not for me. I've even got one on my ankle. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna die, that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna change the name of this channel to Carry Bitches About Mosquitoes, because that's, at this point, it's gotta be approaching like at least 30-40% of my videos. So, I don't know. Let me know if you guys like that new creative direction. But sunset's over. I think I'm gonna head back and get some sleep tonight. I really wanna get a hawk swooping a whale or whatever out of the water over there. That'd be pretty sweet. We got some lazy buttholes. And so goddamn am I. I am fucking tired. It is day 3. I'm trying to have a boner about it, but I am exhausted. We took the boat out again and I'm all sunburnt and shit, but it's been fun. Not really any good photos. Maybe some photos of a seagull. Garbage bird is the best I could muster, but he got really close and it was, you know, he kept coming up to the boat expecting us to, I don't know, drop some garbage or something. They love garbage apparently, and I named him Steven, which is honestly the perfect name because he really loves the low-hanging fruit. Today is my last full day here. I'm really happy with some of the shots I got already, but there is one more thing I want to do tonight, and that is go back down towards that lake, not all the way to it, but in some of the footage of driving, you might have noticed some wildlife bridges. There's 2 of them that I counted between here and Denver. And the second one, which is probably about 20 minutes from here, it looks like I can frame some of those mountains through it. So I think that's the plan. I'm gonna head down there again for sunset, and I'm gonna see if I can use one of those wildlife bridges to frame, I don't know what those mountains are called, but they're awesome and stuff. So I'm gonna really try to do something like that. We got some clouds rolling again. So no more blue skies, fortunately. This is quite a cool little trailer. It's been nice spending time in here. They even let me take over this whole counter with all my stupid bullshit. I like to get spread out as much as possible. I got cameras and tripods and all sorts of shit. Right, Malcolm? Malcolm's just been fucking chilling in here for 3 days in the AC, acting like we're at home, crying about food, and it's like nothing changes for him. He doesn't care where he is, though. He's happy, as long as he's not too hot. He's a good boy. Boys will go boys. You're a good little piggy. Yes, sir. That makes sense. Yeah, the one bridge that I wanted to get to, the one that's literally right there, we all have to stop. Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks, guys. I love construction. One of my favorite things, actually. Especially when it's right before my photographic location that I wanted to try. And the only bridge that's actually maybe good, the other one is dog shit. This is great. I can't wait to sit here and fucking wait for 20 minutes. Cool. Hey guys, great job. Keep up the good work. You're not ruining anybody's shit right now at all. Well, after having to wait for quite some time to even get to this bridge, I am very underwhelmed. It's just not really working out like I thought it would in my head. I took a couple test shots and it looks too ugly with this guardrail right here, and it's mostly just looking up through the underside of the bridge. I don't know why, but when I was driving through here before, I thought that maybe you could be up a little bit higher and see some of the greenery on top of the bridge and the mountain behind it, but the bridge just sits too high, so you gotta get too low to see the mountain underneath it. It's kind of an okay, interesting sort of shot, but I don't think it's really worth sitting here and waiting for sunset. And besides, we've got a lot of clouds over to the west now. More than likely gonna snuff out any light that would have happened anyway, so I'm not too upset about it. It's definitely a much uglier shot than I thought, but you don't know unless you try. So I think I'm gonna head back. I'm gonna probably just hit the lake again in the morning, a little bit further over where the birds do more hunting, and hopefully I can get another decent shot on this trip. So I will see you guys in the morning.
So I went to bed, and that was the last night I spent up there with just a morning remaining, and I seriously lucked out because the best conditions I had gotten all week fell on that sunrise. Now, I know this photo isn't perfect. There's really no defined subject. We were kind of at the uglier lake. I mean, we do have these nice pebbles down here and a very clean reflection. But either way, I don't really think it matters. Just witnessing this sunrise was just so beautiful, and having this photo as a memory, and of course the time-lapse footage, it just made it all worth it anyway, even if it isn't the exact perfect place to be standing. For those of you that made it this far, I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Why don't you go ahead and click right here to see another time I made a dipshit out of myself out in nature. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.